Cardinals, you can't ask for a better weekend. They sweep the Reds at Busch, and you also get great starting pitching, which a couple weeks back when the season just started, and I was looking at how the Cardinals were relative to the National League, and you look at starters, you look at the bullpen, you look at the offense. And if you remember, a couple weeks ago, this is right after Daniel Ponce de Leon had a really bad start on a Sunday. But the Cardinals' starters' ERA was by far the worst in baseball at the time. It was like 6.5. To me, that was small sample size theater, right? You're only a couple of games into the season. And still, they've only played 21 games. So I'm not saying that you can look at where the Cardinals are offensively, bullpen, starters, and say that's where they're going to be. But I knew the Cardinals starting pitching was going to be they're not last in baseball, right? I'm not saying they're going to be top 5 in the National League, but you knew they weren't done. Right. They weren't last in the National League. So when you see what happens over the weekend, where you get 3 great starts, right, from KK, from John Gant, from Jack Flaherty, and again, you go back to the totals, and I'm not saying we should read a ton into this because we're still 21 games into the season, but now they're 10th in the National League. That starter's ERA went from 6.5 to 4.5. You look at the Brewers. The Brewers are fantastic starters-wise. I mean, their ERA of basically 2.2. But still, my overall point is the Cardinals starters, I feel like, are going to be fine. I don't know if they'll be top 5, but they're going to be okay, right? They're going to be...
They give you a chance.
They're going to give you a chance to win every time out there. I think the bullpen is going to be really, really good. Now, Alex Reyes, he was rocky in a couple of these games this weekend, right?
Rocky Balboa.
But you know what? To be a closer, it's a pass-fail situation. You either get the save or you don't. And do you want to go out there and have a clean inning every time and strike out 2 batters? Absolutely. So you had a couple riding the roller coasters there, right, with Alex Reyes. But in the end, even though you have the bases loaded each time, it got real close in the 5-4 game, right? But Alex Reyes shut the door. He shut the door with the strikeout of Eugenio Suarez, and the same thing yesterday when the bases are loaded. He got the job done. Now, you want it to be a little cleaner, but in the end, if you're a closer, it's pass-fail, and he passed both times over the weekend.
Just like a goalie. Who cares? Figure it out. Find a way to get the points. Now, you don't get points in baseball, and I normally have a hockey reference every time you bring baseball up.
Hey, I do that too.
We're just starting. But, yeah, no, you got it done. And that's a good confidence booster for him. And now he's going to go in and he's like, okay, now I'm going to regroup and do my thing again. I got that done. Was it easy? No, but it's a learning experience, and that's all that matters.
So text line 855-282-8255. Get your Cardinals texts in, questions, comments, takes. What did you think over the weekend? Now, the weekend started as we switch now to the offense. So John Mozeliak met with the media on Friday, and a lot of questions were about Matt Carpenter, who has been really struggling. And this gets back to what I mentioned in the previous hour, which is, look, baseball and pro sports, it's a business, it's a man's game in the sense that you got to go out there, you are your production. Mm-hmm. But my point was and is that I don't think Matt Carpenter was supposed to be counted on this year. Okay, so in a way, I don't want to use the word unfair because the dude's making $20 million, right? And so I get it, but coming into this season, I think most people thought he was going to play every once in a while, be a pinch hitter. He's not counted on. So for a while there, when you're having to count on him, but why was that? Harrison Bader out. Tyler O'Neill out, right? And Tyler O'Neill comes back and hits a couple home runs. That's your guy.
Yep.
We'll talk about him. But look, John Mozeliak came out on Friday, and he basically said, like, everybody gets it. This is a business, and you can talk about hard hit rate. You can talk about exit velo, but it's a production game. Right? And those metrics don't take into account strikeouts. And let's also be real that Matt Carpenter is hitting into a different situation than your normal players because, as John Mozeliak stated, you're hitting into the shift and you're also hitting at Busch Stadium half your games, which is a pretty fair ballpark, right? It's not one of these super hitter-friendly parks. So exit velo and hard hit rate, it's different if you're also striking out. You're hitting into the shift, and you're not at a great hitter's park. If you kind of add all those things up, it's not a great recipe for success.
Yeah, people always look, we always have this in every single team, but Carpenter's taken a beating this year. But you're right. You weren't looking like, okay, if Carpenter picks it up this year, we're gonna get to the promised land. No, he's just a part of it, and it's in a business sense where they signed him. He made $500 to $600 when he was absolutely dominating, when he should have made $20
when
million.
he's young.
We've talked about that a million times, but now he's making money and he can't figure it out. But they're not losing games specifically because of him, but people talk about him and they blame him for everything.
And that's what's funny is because here I am. I just talked the last couple of minutes about Matt Carpenter.
Yeah, you did.
When
you
I said
you're the problem.
I wasn't going to do that because over the weekend, offensively, what should be the story? Okay, Dylan Carlson in the 2 spot. And he has back-to-back 3 for 4 games, right? And he's 7 for 11 over the weekend. Now, is he going to have weekends like that every weekend? No. He was super productive. That's fantastic. But it's also just the way the lineup is constructed. Even before he went out there and went 7 for 11, you just looked at that lineup and you said, it just looks better. It just looks better. And I do think it's going to be more productive. When you have Tommy Edman and Dylan Carlson at the top, 2 switch hitters, okay, right there. That's you're talking matchup problems for your opposing pitcher. I know they're very heavily right-handed after that, but you're not going to complain when you have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Paul DeYoung, Yadier Molina. And again, the Cardinals won 2 of those games without Yadi. You know, Yadi has the sore foot, so Andrew Knizner went in there and he played pretty dang well offensively and defensively. But
he's not that intimidating factor that Yadi has. Like,
right.
He's going to build that up. But
nobody will ever be Yadi.
No, man.
I mean, just everything, whether it's on the field, off the field, nobody is going to be Yadi or Molina. But Andrew Knizner, he's really, really good, too. That's another thing. You've wanted to see him and what he can do in the big leagues over the course of a decent amount of at-bats. We all know that Yadi still is going to play most of the time. And heck, for a while there, he's your best hitter here early in the season. But Andrew Knizner was a highly touted prospect for a reason. So you want to see what he can do. And here he has an opportunity with an injury. You don't want that to be the reason. But I want to see what Andrew Knizner can do. Because remember, you trade away Carson Kelly. Yeah. Carson Kelly's doing pretty dang well.
Funny how that works.
For the Diamondbacks,
that hasn't
right?
happened before with the Cardinals, has it?
Well, here's the thing with Yadi, though. How many different catchers of the future did Yadi probably hear about? He's like, oh, yeah, there's the guy that's going to replace me. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, there's the guy that's going to replace me. Oh, he's gone. And here I am. I'm about to be 39 years old. And you don't have to worry because those guys are my backup. Now, again, Yadi's not going to play forever. So maybe next year or the year after that.
He might.
Maybe it's Knizner. Maybe it's somebody else. But I like the fact that you can see Andrew Knizner and see what he can do in a bunch of games because I think he's a very talented player. And heck, he could be the Cardinals catcher of the future.
How about Tommy Edman with that? He made a great play. Could you see that? Oh, my. He's athletic. And he just does his thing. He's not loud. He just does his thing, man.
Dude, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
He's a ball player. And a guy like that, especially in the National League, you put him anywhere, and he is going to be sparkling defensively.
He's good athlete.
Third base, second base. You can put him in the outfield. Of course, you don't want him to play shortstop, and that's not a knock on him. But if you did in a pinch, I guarantee you he'd be fine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be worried about him. And it gets back to, I mentioned this on the radio last week or the week before. We interviewed Whitey Herzog before opening day, and he just said, man, I love Tommy Edman. He's in the middle. He's in the middle of everything. So think about that.
Yeah.
That's another thing. When you say you like Tommy Edman, why is that, and why do you think a lot of Cardinal fans in St. Louis really like Tommy Edman? Because if you're older, it is an homage. He's a Whitey ball type player, right? He's scrappy. He plays a ton of positions. He is fast. He can run. He kind of just does everything for you. He's not the superstar, but you need guys like that to kind of make the engine go.
Yep, he does. No, exactly. He's, I mean, again, I don't want to compare it to hockey, but you can put him anywhere, and you're comfortable with it, and he's an athlete, and again, he's quiet. He didn't crave attention, which, if he's a big dog, you kind of want that a little bit, but he just does his thing, and he's very soft-spoken, and I'll make a play for you.
There you go. And so I know we love to talk about the lineup in St. Louis. That's one of the reasons I love living here and working in sports here. They're so passionate about every little thing. They love to critique the lineup every time it comes out on Twitter. And that's where I'm just telling you, man, you look at the lineup on paper, and it looks better with Dylan Carlson batting second. And I think the way they did this, you could make the case, okay, could they have started the season like that? Okay, but that is a pressure spot. Now, I think Dylan Carlson can absolutely handle it. But I think a lot of people said, look, a few games into the season, whether it's 5, 7, 15, whatever it is this weekend, you're probably going to see Dylan Carlson in the 2 spot. And so, Jim Hero, when you look at this lineup and you see Edman, Carlson, you see Arenado, you see Paul Goldschmidt, or in reverse order there, it just it looks better and it's more productive when Yachty can be a fifth hitter or a sixth hitter, when Paul DeJong can be a fifth hitter or a sixth hitter, right?
Yep.
Everything just lengthens out in that lineup.
Finally. That was the first thing I said on Friday when I saw the lineup. Finally, they're going to let the kid bat second. I've been crying for him to be the two spot because he's a switch hitter. He's exactly what Beltran was when Carlos Beltran was here. He'll be and he's working out exactly the same way. You brought up the point of, well, they were trying to bring him along slowly. You weren't worried about him in the playoffs when you batted him fourth.
Exactly.
So you believed in him enough then to go, hey, you know what? You might be our best spot here at number 4 with that group that they had a year ago. Remember, Arenado wasn't on that team. So you said, all right, you're going to bat behind Goldie and we'll see what happens. There's no reason why he can't bat second now. He's figured it out. Was it 3 for 4s or a couple 3 for 4s and a 2 for 4, whatever it was.
That.
It's like he figured it out. Just let him, as we say, let him eat, right? There it is.
Let the kid eat.
Go do it, kid.
And
do your thing.
It's funny, and this is where I'm not overreacting, just so everybody knows. But we tend to do that after a big weekend, let's be real.
Nah.
And when it's early in the season.
What are you talking about? We're going to win the World Series now.
We're winning everything.
We swept the Reds.
NBA championship, everything in St. Louis. We're all good to go.
But my point is, when you're 21 games in, if you have an awful series or a great series, your numbers either plummet or skyrocket to a point where it's not really fair to say, okay, he's going to do that the whole year. And that's why I'm just trying to, for his own good, not that anybody cares what I say, but I'm also trying to lower expectations a little bit because Dylan Carlson's not going to go 7 for 11 every 3-game series. But because he just did, and he had a very successful series, the guy now, he's batting .309, which leads the team. He's on base .407, which leads the team. And he's slugging .559. Which leads the team. And again, so we're talking about this after
what are you trying to say, Charlie?
A great weekend. It's almost funny to me that we wondered, can he handle it? And then we look at his numbers and, actually, right now, 21 games in, I get it. He's actually the best offensive player on the team.
That's exactly it. Let the man play.
Let me hit the text line quick because that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job. 855-282-8255. Gino Odrick from Bevo Mill, who's always positive.
Always positive.
He's always doing stuff. Love his kid. Love his kids, by the way. I love his kids way more than him, but he's probably chilling because he's always negative. Here's what he says. Edmund needs to play shortstop at least once a week. DeYoung plays way too much. So there's always like a counter with him. Like it's like he needs to do that. That's cool. But then it's always like DeYoung plays too much. Go ahead.
But that's a good baseball take, though, because it's about, we all know Paul DeYoung is the starting shortstop, will be the starting shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. But for the last couple years, the issue was who's behind him, right? You didn't really have that backup. Go back, Jim, I mean, the years just recently, whether it was a Descalzo, Aaron Miles type of player. I know Terrio was here in 11, but the veteran guy who could kind of play everywhere and be your backup shortstop. That's the same thing with Edmund. Edmund is fantastic. I don't know that he's, though, even your backup shortstop type. He's a starter, but right. I'm saying the last couple of years, the issue was always, okay, Paul DeYoung almost has to play 155 games because we don't really have a true backup type.
Yeah, that's why what happened last year at the end of the year, he was so run down. There was nothing left in the tank. And it was like, well, he's got to play because there's nobody else, and we need to get wins today. You know, it's like a guy who's playing the end of the year's played every game, and you're fighting for that playoff spot, and you go, man, he really needs a day, but suck it up another day, buddy, because we need you again to go out there today. I know this hurts. That's beat up. You're exhausted. You got to keep going. Edmundo Sosa is the answer there, though,
yes.
I think. That kid's deserved a chance to play.
No, for sure. Look at Paul DeYoung the last couple of years, though. So, as we stated, here we are 21 games in the season. He's played 20. Paul DeYoung is probably better, right? You're going to get better production, I would think, if he plays more like 17, 18
yes.
and gets more of a breather. Go back to 2019, which was the last full season. He played 159 games. I mean, he was in 159 games out of 162. So I just think you're going to get a better, more productive guy if he's rested just a little bit more. That could be 5 fewer games. If you spread out 5 off days over the course of 6 months, I think that makes a big difference on a guy's brain and legs.
Brain. It's just because you still have to go there and still do the warm up and stuff like that. And yeah, baseball's taxing if you run the bases and this and that, you have a couple weird encounters. But just the mental aspect of it, trying to go to having your routine, knowing you have to have the timing to do this. I got that going. I got to get a massage on this. When you know you're not playing, it's just a mental break. And sometimes you need that in everyday life, but especially baseball. Good God Almighty! Sometimes it's fun just to sit there and watch. Like, okay, I'm good to go. And then the next day, you're like, no, I want to get back in. So,
and we got to mention though, talking about the offense and the lineup coming off the injured list, Tyler O'Neill with John Nagowski put on the IL over the weekend, and Tyler O'Neill doesn't play the first day because they're trying to get him back and give him an extra day. And this is what we're also going to see from Tyler O'Neill. He has a game where he runs into a couple. And this guy has legitimate, we all know this, I'm not breaking any news. He has legitimate big league power. When you see he hits an Oppo yesterday, the other one to dead center as a right-handed hitter, this guy can crush it. He just, if you can walk a little bit, you can just make a little more contact, and you can stay in there, and you're going to see those games every once in a while where he's going to hit too.
Discipline.
And that's your boy.
He is my boy, and he's got the muscle. You ever see him with his shirt off? It's unbelievable.
Well, they rip it off many times. When he gets a big hit, they'll rip it off.
He's a great guy, but he needs to be disciplined.
Pre-COVID, by the way. I don't know if you can you rip off shirts during COVID?
I hope so. I
think it's.
I mean,
sure, why
that dude's
not?
He's built like Trout. He's built.
Well, he's a body. His dad was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
His dad was Mr.
He's
Canada.
got it.
You know, I say this half jokingly, but you know how baseball and other sports are having a similar rule where if your staff team is 85% vaccinated, you can lessen some of the COVID protocols. And I wonder if ripping off jerseys post game is one of those perks.
He's got the mask on. We just ripped the shirt off. It's
for
no
the
big
female
deal.
audience, you kind of have to do that. You just have to do that. And for the male audience, so you can, especially on our listeners here.
You never know.
They want it.
Speaking of our listeners, anything else on the text line?
Carpenter needs to go to the alternate site and figure it out. If he's a team guy, then he needs to recognize this. He's not helping the team. That's from the 3 and 4. Put a name in, please. Put a name in, please.
But also, they're also rolling him out there.
Exactly.
He doesn't make the lineup.
There it is.
And that's my point why, again, we've now talked about him twice on a day where I said we shouldn't talk about him.
What's he supposed to do, Charlie?
No. I get it. But he's not the same player. But if they put him in the lineup, he's going to try. He's trying hard.
So what is he supposed to do? I don't want to. I just haven't been doing it. No, you just like, this is my last. I gotta try.
Well, here's what is going to happen when everybody's all healthy and you're getting close to that. I know Bader's not back, but it's going to be Tommy Edman at second, right? You're liking Justin Williams right now. You're loving Dylan Carlson, and Tyler O'Neill, when he's hitting 2 home runs, you're going to roll him right back out there.
Ooh, yeah. That tight jersey on and everything.